The Ohio Department of Education found the Richmond Heights local school district where my son was attending in violation. These are the findings after I filed my complaint. So let's take a look at here. See, it says for the Richmond Heights local school district. So the issue, the issues that I had, that my son was basically, they had him in a virtual program where he had no teacher. I had to teach him myself at home. Basically, the school did not want him back at the school. So I had filed a complaint with the Ohio Department of Education, the Special Education Department, due to the fact that my son was not allowed to attend the actual school in person, even though they had in-person school. They wanted him at home in a virtual school, or they wanted to place him in an alternative school, which I had declined after attending the school and seeing how it was set up. And it was set up in a place where the kids had no extracurricular activities. They didn't have music or gym or anything like that. Basically, all it was they were mostly in group all day. And it resembled the rehabilitation center that my son had just left after being at for 18 months. He had just was removed and released from Ohio Guidestone. And I did not want him resorted to that. I wanted him to have a normal education and go to school like a normal child, because they were trying to label him and confine him in that sector where he's going to these schools that are mostly modified alternative schools for people who have extensive bad behavior. They really wanted to label him in that category. So they were forcing him to go to a virtual school at home. And I thought he would have a teacher, the way they explained to me that he would take their virtual online program. And I thought it was just something where, the kids would learn at home, but they still have a teacher teaching them. He did not have a teacher. He was just given a list of curriculum to read through, and he would take tests, and the teachers would grade him. No one would explain anything to him. He would watch videos. Sometimes the curriculum included videos. And he could attend live sessions every now and then, but he was falling extremely behind because the work was not modified for his education level. And I filed a complaint because he was falling behind. He could not get through the work. They kept having him redo the work, because when he didn't get it correct, he would have to redo it because they wanted him to get in a certain percentage to pass and move on. So as he kept redoing the work, it kept making him fall behind on the rest of the other work. So I filed a complaint because I had contacted them numerous times. They would not do anything about it. And they did not want him in school. In their special education program, they kept saying they didn't have a special education program for him, but they just didn't want him at their school. So as you can see here, it says the difficulties understanding completing virtual coursework, needs related to missing assignments. They had all these missing assignments for him, needs for additional accommodation and modifications. So I sent in all of this information to support evidence for everything, all the emails I sent back and forth to the schools to rectify the issue, and nothing was ever done. So I filed my complaint, and here are their findings. It says the district is in violation. So they were filed in violation because they refused to give them a new IEP. They did not have his educational needs supported because they did not accommodate. There were not any accommodations for him. So as you see here, it says, this section states an IEP must include a statement of measure annual goals, including academic and functional goals designed to meet the child's needs that result from the child's disability, to enable the child to be involved in and make progress in the general education curriculum and meet each of the child's other educational needs that result from the child's disability. Here, the district did not adopt the student's ETR or IEP and did not conduct its own ETR. The district also did not amend the student's IEP to reflect the change in placement to the academy. Therefore, the district is in violation. So here's the second issue where it talks about how, they wanted my son to perform at a 75%. They wanted his assignments to have a grade of 75% or above in order for him to complete, to mark it as a completion. And if it was below 75%, he had to keep redoing it. And so I had to literally sit here and help him and just walk through everything with him. And, it was so time consuming. And when we couldn't get through it, some of the stuff, I didn't even understand. And when he kept, a lot of them, he would not get above, 75%. So they would have him redoing all of this coursework, and he was falling far behind on everything. So if you look at all these assignments he had in all these different classes, he had to redo all these different assignments. There were 25 assignments they had to redo. He was behind 9 assignments. Then these are different classes. Look at it. Then in one of them, he had 72 assignments that he had to redo. He was just falling behind. It was not beneficial for him. He was failing. He was not making progress. And so here are the findings. They found them in violation again. And it says the section states the district must revise the IEP as appropriate to address any lack of expected progress toward the annual goals. And in the general education curriculum, the results of any reevaluation information about the child provided to or by the parents, the child's anticipated needs, or other matters. Here, the student demonstrated a lack of expected progress due to missing assignments and assignments that needed to be redone. The parent reached out to the district on multiple occasions, expressing concern over the student's difficulties managing the academics, curriculum, and workload. Despite these facts, the district did not reconvene the IEP team to revise the student's IEP. Therefore, the district is in violation of this section. So after they found the district in violation, and then they made them they were supposed to have these redo hours with him to get his coursework. So they end up having a teacher meet with him during the week over, virtual. And they were found in violation. And so after reviewing the IEP, after redoing the IEP, they finally allowed my son to come back in school. And this all happened around March. He was finally, I think around March, toward the end of March, he was back in school. And that's when everything happened. Not even 2 weeks after him being in school, he ended up catching that case or whatever, and the girl started bullying him, and that's how he was able to put out of the school. And the Lord had already let me know, they were retaliating against him because they were found in violation. This is a school that likes to retaliate. As you can see, this is something that's going on. How they retaliate and use extreme measures. I even put the video up recently of how a reporter was arrested, handcuffed and arrested here because, he was doing his job. And it's like extreme measures are going forth. And, a lot of this is allowed to be covered up. A lot of, sorcery has been involved. And, yes, a woman, I did recently put up a video about how a woman used sorcery and witchcraft, put out a hex to put my son, have him sent away out of retaliation against him. But a lot of cover-ups are being made. I don't have evidence or proof of what they've done, but I already know that the Lord was showing me this woman was going to try and do something because she was the one. Lakeisha Davies was the one who was a director of special education. All this reflected on her because she refused to rewrite his IEP. She refused to allow him placement into the school. And as a result of her actions, the entire school was found in violation by the Department of Education. So they have a violation on them. And when you have violations, a lot of times you can have sanctions placed on you or you don't receive funding and everything. It's just not a good look. And so they didn't like the fact that they received this violation. The Lord already let me know they were retaliating against him. This is the second time they retaliated because I filed, years ago, my son was at this school, I filed a complaint with the Department of Education. They were not found in violation during that time, but we had actually settled on a mediation. But the Lord had let me know for years they had been retaliating against my son, loosing sorcery and witchcraft at him, attacking him in schools and mistreating him as a result of all those things. And here you see once again the proof that they were found in violation. And because they were found in violation, not even a few weeks after my son reattended their school, he gets in trouble. And that's the second time he got in trouble. He got in trouble because I even had a dream. The Lord showed me a dream that they were going to have him arrested, that something was going to be done at that school. And yes, a lot of people have come together. And I'm just showing all this because a lot of people conspired together to retaliate against my son, to have him sent away, to keep him away. As a result, my son has been taken out of the home. He has spent numerous months of his life and years of his life taken from him in a rehabilitation center, in group homes and foster care homes and juvenile detention centers. He has a felony currently. He has undergone all types of abuse. As a result, he has had all types of problems with his mental health, even though they claim that it's helping him. It's really not, because my son has attempted to harm himself numerous times. He has cuts all up and down his arms and his hands where he has tried to cut himself. He's been exposed to gang violence, all types of violent behavior while being in the juvenile detention center and interacting with other inmates who were there who were involved in gangs by being involved in, around certain children who were involved in gangs and rehabilitation centers. All this stuff happened because I spoke out, because I wanted to fight for the rights of my children, because when he was not being treated right and given the proper education. And as you know, in the state of Ohio, they don't like they don't like when you speak out, they retaliate. And this stuff has been allowed to be covered up. And, like I said, sorcery's being used in schools. Sorcery's being used all over. But they want to cover all this stuff up. But, God knows what happened. God is the one who showed me everything. He revealed everything to me because I cannot see it with my natural eyes. I didn't know what was happening. I knew something was wrong, but he showed me. And as you can see, this is what happened. All these charges against my son, all of a sudden he finds a blade on the ground, or just like recently when he came home to visit, they said he found a knife. Every time, they retaliate. And it was so convenient that he found this knife right before, he's getting ready to have his new review to go home, because our court trial is in May to see if he can go home or not. But he just so happens to find this knife, and his home visits are suspended. But, one of the requirements for him to be able to come home and be released and come out of the program is him having home visits, and the home visits going well. So this is the conspiracy. When you do all this stuff, you do things, you use sorcery, witchcraft, you do all this stuff to cause things to happen, to control things and retaliate against children. They've had my son taken out of the home twice, had him removed from his home twice based off what they've done. This is the second time, the third time. This entire school has been coming up against us for a while. And this is the evidence and proof here. So whether you get away with it on earth with man, you won't get away with God, because he knows everything. So if you escape and evade your judgment here on earth, I want you to believe this, guarantee you. God has found you guilty already, because he's seen everything you've done and you have not corrected it. So you will not be entering his kingdom. He has a hell. He has a hell for eternity for all the wicked who have gotten away with their things here on this earth and have not reconciled, who have not repented, who have not made change and corrections for their wrongdoings, and they're walking around with their evil, prideful, wicked hearts, thinking that they can get away. When they're about to get caught, they bring together their entire network of people. They use their power and their little networks and all their connections with other people and organizations and agencies, and they fight against the small guy, and they cover everything up, and they bully them and put the small guy away, lock them up, put them in mental institutions, lock them up in prisons, or isolate them, ostracize them, cast them out, terminate them, make them lose their businesses and jobs. They gang up against them so they can silence that small person, and they can get away with their wrongdoings. They cover it all up. They gotten rid of the person. They covered it up successfully. Now they're happy and they're boasting because they got away with this evil, but you didn't. You didn't get away with anything, because God has seen everything, and guarantee you, he has a place waiting for you for judgment. You will receive your punishment through him. See, you have not gotten away with it. In his eyes, he has seen the wrong you've done and the innocent children you have mistreated and hurt and destroyed. All of the lives you've ruined, all the families. And he has a place down there, way in the lowest pits of the bottoms of the earth in hell. There is a lake of fire and brimstone. Imagine how fire and brimstone feels. Imagine there are demonic demons, evil, wicked beings, beasts, who are there to prepare destruction, who will have the liberty to inflict all types of pain upon you. There are cells, darkness, weeping and gnashing teeth. People are crying all day, all night, no water, no comfort, just burning, suffering, pain, chaos, destruction, hopelessness, desperation. And this is for eternity. Because you got away with mistreating people on this earth, and you had your pride and ego, and you wanted to cover up your wrongdoings instead of acknowledging and admitting your faults and correcting it. But you covered it up. So now he's going to judge you. There is a place where you all go Those who have successfully evaded the judgment here on this earth, because you have your law enforcement, you have your judges and everybody working for you. They're all in it together because a lot of them won't judge you. You can get away with doing your stuff because there are no laws against sorcery. There are no laws against the retaliation that's going on. Well, they're supposed to be. But are the laws being enforced? Is justice being given to everyone? How is it that some people can walk around and invade judgment, can get away with crimes based off the little network, based off who they belong to, what group they belong to? Yeah, God has seen it and is wicked. But my son has lost his life in that detention center because you didn't want him at your school and you wanted to save face. All these organizations, all these people have come up against one group of people. One woman and her 2 special needs children took my kids from me, stripped me, and my kids been gone for 3 years, kept me from seeing my daughter. All of this covered up. All the things that were done to us. I report sexual abuse, sexual assault of my daughter, everything. God has seen it all. And it's happening all over to other children, other people. God has shown me. But you're covering it up. You got away with it. That's what you think. But God has said different.